comrades. How are y'all today? Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Scott.
Hi.
Scott's here again. So
Scott just won't leave.
and this we got this weird. So if you've been keeping up with your Good Morning Comrade program, game program, we've got a rotating
bingo card.
Bingo card of hosts of DSA members. And I want to also state this show and podcast is not officially sanctioned by the DSA. The opinions are our own. So this week we have Jeff, we have Scott, we have myself, Robert. And so this show is about socialism and
all boys today.
Yeah, it's the all boys show. It's the opposite of Street Fight's Anybody But Cis Dudes. It's just all cis dudes all the time, broing out, talking about cis dude things.
Listen up, ladies.
How about those shoes? Right?
So you were talking about earlier that it looks like our audio's clipping, but I think it's fine. I think our sound waves are still good. But you were saying that I'm still getting over this cold, so my voice is it doesn't sound right. But you were saying how studly my voice was just a little bit ago, and I've actually been told, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I've been told this because I've done stuff for like video gaming, and I used to have a terrible Twitch channel or whatever. We're on Twitch now, by the way. We haven't broadcast anything, but we're definitely on Twitch. We're on everywhere you can find podcasts. We on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, the whole nine. But yeah, I was told that I should be a shoutcaster. And if anybody doesn't know what a shoutcaster is, it's a guy who yells and screams, way too enthusiastic about competitive video gaming, which I found that kind of weird.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
Captain Falcon going for the knee. Oh, he hits the knee.
Oh my God, here he comes. This is a new
I feel like 10 years ago, those guys were like commenting for the X Games and stuff.
They were the guys that did battle bots.
I mean, I guess so. If I remember, and this is somebody, like I just said, we have a Twitch channel, but I honestly, I don't watch Twitch for gaming. I watch just chatting because I like the e-drama. And even back in the day where professional video gaming started to, it's really coming to its own. It's still got a ways to go. There's actually a drug problem.
Whoa.
In professional video gaming because
Addy baby.
Yeah, it's performance. So I don't think it's MLG, which is Major League Gaming. I think it's the Cyber Gaming League. It's one of those that they're actually doing drug testing now for Adderall.
Oh, they got their own IOC.
Only Adderall. They have to probably make it clear.
No, that's true though, because like, everybody is on Adderall who does professional gaming. Like literally everybody.
What if you have a prescription though?
That's the thing. So people who have severe ADHD and
like me,
yeah. So how do you? I don't know. I think all this is like a topic that's not related to socialism. I think that all performance enhancing drugs should just be allowed.
Legalize all the drugs.
Yeah, just legalize all the drugs.
All the performances. The problem is, I guess that the entire argument against like performance enhancing drugs is, oh no, the sports are too good. The people are too good at them. I don't know. It's something that I'm not a big fan of. Just give everybody all of the performance enhancing drugs.
I mean, on the other side of that, like I remember like early days, like StarCraft, there was some guy who was like, he played StarCraft for like 3 days and just flat out died.
Well, I'm not.
Well,
if you choose to die, I guess you should have that free.
I mean, that's kind of a different issue. I mean, you could be an addict for anything. I just find it it's such a cyberpunk issue. Yeah. It's such a, like we're just, every day we're just closer and closer to Blade Runner. And that's not a sexy thing, by the way. That's not something to look forward to.
I at least wish like the aesthetics of Blade Runner would catch up. Like I'm wearing jeans right now. That's not a very Blade Runner thing to wear.
Yeah, but the aesthetics are
it's film noir. It's the same thing as film noir.
It's film noir with like purple instead of like neon.
The aesthetics of cyberpunk come from the dystopia. Like they are interconnected. You cannot have one and not the other, because and the aesthetics of cyberpunk is weird too. That's why you haven't seen a huge, I mean, besides that kid in your homeroom that wore the trench coat, like you haven't seen that. You haven't seen a huge,
especially here. It's so hot.
It's so hot. But the whole idea, you haven't seen a huge adaptation of like people taking cyberpunk culture and the closest I've seen to untwist my thoughts is because the idea is to blend in. Now there is an aspect of this, and this goes, I wish Michelle here. Michelle's not here this week, so I guess everybody's just turning off now. We're talking about prepper stuff.
Come back, Michelle.
I know. There is something called the gray man. Whoa. And that's a prepper thing, because when quote unquote it hits the fan, you want to be able to blend into your surroundings and not have anybody not draw your attention to yourself.
You're going to be inconspicuous.
Yeah. And that's so funny because I watch these weird prepper videos about like how to be a gray man. Don't put bumper stickers in your car. Wear indescript things. Make sure people don't know like you have a weapon or you have access to food, or don't carry around and I'm like, yeah, that's called code. Well, it's not technically code switching, but that's what people of color have been doing since
their entire
lives. Like I've always been doing that. Like every action, every glance, every move. And it's so funny that white people are just catching on to this, like how to act like you're not a threat. And I'm just like, yeah, just follow your average black person around every day for a week, and you'll know how to gray man.
So you know what's funny about that is the idea of people who have not had to do that their entire lives suddenly having to do that.
It's hilarious.
Hilarious. It's hilarious. And also, there's sort of got to be a mindset that goes along with that, and sort of like the rolling back of like these people who are always sort of like economically secure and have never had to like back down from whatever. So they in a sense, they can reject it and just turn into a fascist.
That's like that weird thing where people on Twitter are like, hey, I don't wash my legs because the water just goes down there.
Oh, I just had a fight with my...
Oh, my God. You got to wash your legs.
I just had a fight with my partner about that. She's on team don't wash your legs.
Oh, no.
She a leg truther?
Yeah, she's a leg truther.
Oh,
and seriously, she's a 9/11ist.
That's like a weird... No. That's like a weird rich people flex when they're like, oh, I don't really get stinky because I work outside and stuff. Like, it's because like I want to like save 30 seconds in the shower.
Well, like...
Yeah, like, so first off... Jet fuel melts steel beams, and soap doesn't just flow right down your body and clean your legs. Man. You need to scrub
I'm going to be in trouble when I get home tonight.
You gotta like rough up the...
But she was telling me, like, apparently on Desus and Mero, they had because that's how I found out about it. We're watching Desus and Mero, and they had a dermatologist. It's like, oh, you don't have to wash your legs. I'm like, heck, you don't? Yeah. How'd that work? They are grime. She's like, what do you need to... I'm like, they get the grime off.
Yeah. I want a second opinion.
We need a dissenter. Like, we're all on the same side.
Man, let's get Aaron.
Like, how many doctors out of 5 would say that? 'Cause that's just one.
We got to get her in here. Like, she's a social worker,
Defend this position.
I feel like you should tell her first. I don't want to be like ambush journalism.
Well, she's a social worker.
No, we'll walk her in here and we'll say, defend the leg, not washing position.
Well, eventually we're gonna do a show with her telling social work stories. And obviously we're gonna follow all HIPAA laws, so that way she doesn't lose her license. She can't be in here like wild crazy, being like, yeah, and I saw Joey the other day doing this. She can't do that because she's got massive school debt that she's still trying to pay down, pay for that license and her master's degree.
And getting sued would be bad too.
Yeah. But the point is, I'm going to flip that whole thing on her. She's going to have to defend not washing her legs. Because she asked me, like, well, why? I'm like, to get the grime off. I'm like, what are you doing?
Like, when you have socks, the socks just, like, absorb sweat.
They bake the sweat in your feet. Yeah. It's like a convection oven. Like,
the socks
especially here.
You put your sock.
My dude, where did you first find out about that leg thing? Because I found out from her.
I saw it on the internet, just, like, people saying, like... And eventually somebody comes out on Twitter with just a hot take and like burns through like...
Sounds like the doctor had the hot take.
Yeah.
My dude, that's just wild. I just don't... I'm willing to let y'all white people slide on just the raw bar soap thing. I'm willing to let that ride. Like, y'all don't use washcloths? That's a thing?
Oh, no, use the washcloth.
Use a washcloth?
I'm a washcloth user.
See, maybe it's a Southern thing. Because I was was told...
That's
what I'm saying. Maybe it's just Southern, because I was told that was a black guy thing.
It's kind of a class thing. Like, the farther down you slide on the scale, like, me and Jeff are, like, middle/lower middle. And, like, the lower you get down there, the more people are, like, good about washing. They're like...
Yeah, maybe like... Maybe like middle class and up people are just never dirty.
Yeah, like them being dirty is like,
bro, I'm about to be homeless, bro. I'm about to be, once this airs, I'm about to be homeless. Ooh, that's fine.
But like my cousin, he's kind of like a little bit further down the scale, and he's like big about the washcloths. And when I was younger, I was like, washcloths, what are those? And he was like, no, you got to do it. I was like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that the puff is a good middle ground because the puff works for me too because you don't have to wash. Mm-hmm. You don't have to wash the washcloth. We're talking about the puff. The puff, man. The puff is a good middle ground because you don't have to wash the puff. Ooh, but see, now that brings up wait a minute, because if I'm on team wash legs, to be consistent in my praxis, I have to be on team wash puff because the puff is getting in the grime. So you have to think about it. Think it through.
Okay, think it through. I'm thinking it through, and I do have an opinion on that as well. Okay. I am pro wash puff, but I don't think the puff holds the same way like a rag or a washcloth does. I think you need to wash the puff, but you don't need to wash it every single time. You can like hose the puff off with the shower.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You can't just take that puff that just came off your body and just hang it back up on the thing. You just gotta like maybe squirt a little more soap under it and put it on, and like maybe I'm talking just a second or two.
Have some puff etiquette.
Yeah.
Before I use the puff, I'll like put the soap on it and squeeze it out, like, you know, make sure it gets a good wash in, you know? Like, I'm not going to throw it in the washing machine or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's... but...
I know Axe body spray is, like, this not cool thing, but they had this thing, like... they had this, like, single guy thing, which was, like, a puff, and on the back was kind of, like...
They called it the detailer, and don't ask me like I had that, because I didn't, because I never owned that. I'm being dead serious right now.
I think it's good.
I ain't about it
foolishness. You had a little bit of a rough brush you could, like, grab... You, like, put on your legs, you know? That was good technology.
I think that's praxis because we have to be like, I can't be on team washcloth and team puff, but be so anti not leg washing without.
We gotta have ideological consistency.
Right, you gotta be consistent. We gotta wash the puff. So I think that's a good middle ground. Everybody, all puff users, wash your puff and wash your legs too because it's gross.
Just wash everything. Just like wash it all. Like seriously. I don't know. Like wash your hair, wash your body, wash your face. Like do you not wash your upper body, but you just like I don't understand the functionality. Why do you scrub that when you've already washed your hair? You know, they just sort of like I'm just sort of going down the no washing your legs road.
You don't need to put that in the world because like somebody's gonna pick up.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh.
I just need to wash my hair.
Nobody.
No, like that's the whole thing. You don't want like I wash my hair pretty much every day.
Yeah, me too.
It's just short. But you wash yours every day?
Just about. I have long hair.
Well, I thought that was a thing you're not supposed to do. What is dry shampoo? We got that at my house, and I don't know. I don't understand that. What is dry shampoo? What is that trying to do?
I don't know. I wash my hair every day.
Boy, there's so much assist
with conditioner.
Boy, we really missing. We're missing the rest of the crew because there's so many riddles to life that us cis dudes do not.
Like we're just putting up our opposing opinion, and we're not even steel manning it good.
We're a real echo chamber right now.
Well, that's the thing. Like my fiance's makeup, she'll ask me to get or any of her hygiene products. She'll be like, "Can you get me X?" And I'm like, "If you put a gun to my head, I couldn't tell you what that looks like or what it even does. Like all this, I have no idea what it does. So." We need help, for real.
Listeners, if you have a strong opinion on this, please email us at contact@goodmorningcomrade.com. I'm genuinely... I would like to participate in the leg washing discourse. I've obviously defined my position on this, but I want to hear what the arguments against are.
We've really thrown our hat in the ring.
Yeah, so right here, like, we all already sort of where we're at. But I want to hear what I'm arguing against. All right. So you are listening to WHIV LP New Orleans 102.3 and WHIV FM/listen. So Robert.
Yes.
What's up?
I have a couple things I'd like to not necessarily get off my chest. What is up with you asking me what's up? What's up with AOC and Ted Cruz playing footsie under the table? What is that? Real weird, man. Real weird.
Ted Cruz is some kind of like lizard man.
Right.
Like he's like if you pulled off the mask of the people from V, it would have a Ted Cruz under there. Right. But So tell me about the situation here.
I was gonna say, do you have that pulled up on your phone so you can tell us what's this about? Because I was gonna, because I try not. We're on Twitter. You should definitely follow us, but I honestly don't follow Twitter that much. Let's take a look here.
Bad website.
I know, right? Blah 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 blah. Okay, this is from Fox News. Senator Ted Cruz offered again to team up with Representative Ocasio-Cortez. This time to make birth control available as an over-the-counter medication. So apparently there's common ground on women's reproductive issues between a stalwart of Republicanism and a full red pinko commie.
Well,
I mean, that's just what I've been told. I've been told that AOC is just Mao reincarnated. And I've been told Ted Cruz is what's going to save me from the libtards. So that's what I've been told. That's what I believe. So what is your take? Like, in all seriousness, why do you think this is happening? Why do you think they're having this little, like I said, footsies under the table?
So
on Twitter,
I think Ted Cruz is being as the word coy isn't correct. I think he wants to do something, especially on this issue, that's not exactly supporting abortion, and he can almost frame it as though he's preventing abortions from happening, especially in the post-heartbeat bill kind of world. He wants to maybe appeal to these sensible center people that don't actually exist. That's sort of an idea, and he wants to almost cut off the fact that he's this extremely right-wing, Randian weirdo.
I think that's reasonable. When you ask me, I'm always going to go full Machiavelli. Mm-hmm. And what I think is happening with Ted Cruz, what I think his deal is that as much of a joke and needs to drop out of the presidential race yesterday, Beto O'Rourke is. I think Beto got him shook. I think Beto blew his hair back a little bit. I think it's like the part in 300, the movie, not the graphic novel, where Leonidas threw that spear and it cut Xerxes. And it's like, even a god can bleed. Ted Cruz is a little shook, and he sees the way the demographics are changing in Texas, and he wants to get out in front of that to stave off any other challenge from a Beto O'Rourke or any other Johnny-come-lately Texas, I say this with air quotes, I'm making air quotes, Texas leftist. Not a real leftist, but a Texas leftist. So that way...
Or even just a regular Texas Democrat.
Yeah, even a Texas Democrat. So that way he can get some of that mojo magic. Be like, look, I'm not all that bad. Like, I'm hitching my wagon to AOC, so you kids like me, right?
He's doing the reverse John Bell Edwards.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's really good analysis. Reverse John Bell Edwards. John Bell Edwards, for those of you who don't know, is our governor here.
Of Louisiana. He's a Democrat, and he's
in case you didn't know that, Louisiana has a Democratic governor.
Louisiana has a Democratic governor. The only reason he won is because he won against the what is his name? Oh my God,
Bobby
David
Jindal.
Vitter. No,
Vitter. Oh yeah, Vitter.
And David Vitter was able to be so smeared because he had a background scandal with the DC Madam. And
he had a secret family, or I can't remember. It was something with strippers, right?
I think it was just
it was more of a brothel thing. There was a sex worker situation in DC. He was one of the names that were listed as a client, and so he was smeared enough, and really in a weird way, his wife just became an extremely right wing federal judge.
Right.
She's straight up. Roll back Roe versus Wade right now.
I mean, do you think that this is a good segue to talk about voters in general? Republican Party voters, do you think that's kind of pre-Trump, but even then, did they care about such things? Is that really why he won? About really why he lost in Bell Edwards? About him having sex with prostitutes? Do you think that Republican voters even care?
I think that it was significant
because they have no shame. They have no. They'll tell you that the sky is pink. They have no. There's no sense of hypocrisy what we're seeing in now the quote unquote Trump era. But to me, the Trump era has always existed in the Republican Party. There's no difference.
It was so the reason that David Vitter didn't win was because he, like, the core of his entire message was that he was like a family values person. And so based on that, because he's from Metairie. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Metairie's a really trashy suburb. That's
it's where I live.
Yeah, so like I said, it's trash.
Trashy enough for me.
And it's about 5 or 6 miles outside of New Orleans.
Yeah.
And it's what Metairie is where you want to live to not live in New Orleans because you don't want to see black and brown people.
Even though there are like tons of black and brown people.
Yeah, but they're all like they don't have any power.
When
I say power,
organized power,
right? When I say power, I mean like there's not a bunch of black and brown people in your city council.
No,
in Metairie,
or the ones that are like totally.
Yeah. So it's where you wanna tell people you live in New Orleans, but you don't want to live in New Orleans.
Anyway, John Bel Edwards ran as like a very wholesome, like very conservative Democrat. His big sort of one of his big core things was that he was friendly to teachers and educators. His wife was a teacher, so essentially he exploited that. Plus the fact that he wasn't like he was very like middle of the road enough to like at least get the hard people who would go like get up to go out to vote for David Vitter. They just stayed home.
So weird. Like,
either way you see it, like the people who were on the right and voted for him, they got what they wanted. You know, like he balanced the budget, and then he just like kind of turned on his party.
No, because even then, like the thing that happened with John Bel Edwards is he keeps doing the things that the Republicans want him to do, and they still beat him up for it anyway because that's just how it operates. And they're basically getting these Democrats to kind of appeal to the center, and then they still just beat him over the right, and they redefine what the center is. So they just keep dragging him and dragging him and dragging him. And John Bel Edwards also, we were talking about Ted Cruz, now we're talking about John Bel Edwards. But John Bel Edwards ran as an anti-abortion Democrat.
Yeah, absolutely. He did.
And so
there's no surprise
ran as a conservative.
Yeah, there's no surprise that he would sign with Heartbeat.
Any blue will do, folks.
Well, I mean,
like a Democrat in Louisiana is like a Republican in New York City.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, and I don't necessarily. I personally hate that, but this is where the two things, the idea of what is possible and what the political conditions are, kind of intersect. And I feel sometimes like a bad leftist, but there's a difference between like doing what you have to do to win a political office.
My sort of take on that too is by playing by those rules that are sort of dictated by the right and essentially acknowledging that this is a reality that we all have to endure, and you're essentially agreeing that is the reality. So you could, in a very serious way, push against it, but the Democrats in Louisiana don't really have the courage to do that.
I get that. And I find it weird that the Democrats in Louisiana, because we have to look at a map, because honestly, I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know much about Louisiana politics outside of New Orleans. New Orleans, I can tell you about. So how many Democrats are there elected in any kind of office outside of New Orleans? Because I suspect it's not much, right?
The majority,
just off the top of your head.
The majority
could be wrong.
The majority of both the House and the Senate are comprised of people who are from non-urban areas. Mm-hmm. So Orleans is sort of like a blue, Democrat center in the state of Louisiana. Baton Rouge is kind of the same, but I mean that Louisiana is a big state,
right?
And there's a lot of people that are in non-incorporated areas, and the entire strategy. Well, it's the strategy of the Democratic Party in Louisiana, insofar as you can call it a strategy, is essentially to, like I said before, contest on the grounds not on the grounds of the material conditions of the people who are in these sort of rural places. Uh-huh. They contend on the grounds of these social issues, right, or balancing the budget.
100%.
They're playing on the terms of the right wing, and when they do that, they just like a weaker version of what they're pretending to be, and they get clobbered all the time.
Yes, 100. I guess, okay, in a roundabout way, to cut to the chase, the point I was trying to make, and I just kind of gathered my thoughts about this, is I can understand why if you're a Democrat, if you're a John Bel Edwards Democrat and you got elected somewhere that most of the time strongly goes red or is kind of purple in your district.
From a meat.
Yeah. Huh, what's that?
He's from a meat.
Okay.
A meat's on the North Shore. It's a very sort of rural place.
Okay, that's fine.
So it's by Ponchatoula, which is where the strawberry
My point is this, is that what I'm saying is, if you got elected, not take him out of it, I'm just saying a hypothetical from an imaginary county parish here in Louisiana, that is, you won. Like, you did what you had to do, and you won, and now you're there, and you got to serve, and you're serving that Republican constituency that somehow you got to vote for you. I can understand that hypothetical
person. You can't
person.
change that hard like that fast.
Right.
You can't do it.
What I do not understand is why there's so many concessions made to the right in New Orleans. That's my point. That now, that was a long way around, but that's where I was trying to get at.
So, I guess.
What do you have to lose here as Cedric?
The question becomes then.
Cedric Richmond, I don't understand why they're so willing to play ball.
The question becomes then.
You have a power base.
Who do you represent? Do you represent working class people? Because Cedric Richmond is the
tell us who Cedric Richmond is.
So the U.S. Congress House of Representatives representative from District 2. District 2 runs from it's basically everything except for like a part of uptown New Orleans, like a little sector or a far uptown New Orleans, all the way through Cantor Alley and then into a part of East Baton Rouge. So it's an extremely gerrymandered district. It's a very easy win. So he can appeal to whoever's going to give him money because he's the Democrat. It's very difficult for him to even conceive of losing in this situation. So he wants to consolidate his power. And so far as he's in a very safe district, correct?
Yes.
So somebody like him doesn't have to represent working people because he's in such a safe position. He just want to get into a position where he can benefit himself. And by doing that, you need to bring in money. And by bringing in money, you appeal to the elite.
That's funny you say. I remember when our last mayoral election here in New Orleans, it was a huge people made a big deal about it who didn't know New Orleans politics because we had two, whoever won the election was going to be a black woman.
Desi and Latoya.
Yeah, we had, we had two black women running.
And it would have also been the first woman to be elected the mayor of New Orleans.
Yeah, that is a big deal. But they're two very different candidates, and our current mayor is Latoya Cantrell, and it's not like she is God's gift to us leftists. She's not, but there is a very distinct difference between her and Desiree Charbonnet, who she ran against. So you've got the working class areas of New Orleans, and then you've got the lakefront, which are all in uptown, which are all where the rich liberals are, or even right wingers.
Rich white liberals.
Yeah, rich white liberals. And I remember reading our local paper, to where Latoya Cantrell, not Latoya Cantrell, Desiree Charbonnet, the kind of very centrist corporate candidate, ran.
Both were centrist.
They're both
candidates.
centrist, but one is better. Yeah, we got that. The loser, the woman who lost the election, ran very heavily on lakefront and the rest of the rich areas.
She tied herself to Leon Cannizzaro, who is an absolute monster of a district attorney.
There you go. Who is that? Terrible DA.
He's essentially been accused of multiple forms of malpractice in his investigations, and essentially just like making up testimony or intimidating people into doing testimony. And Desiree Charbonnet ran very closely to him. Now, also at the very same time, she was also very close to labor. Desiree Charbonnet was. She was.
Because just to get my last little point out is that the Times-Picayune said online, NOLA.com, it said, congratulations to Desiree Charbonnet, you're now the mayor of Lakefront. Which she did not have enough votes there to win the mayoral election at all.
Yeah.
Hello.
You are listening to WHIV LP New Orleans 102.3 WHIV FM/listen.
It's a great station.
So,
I actually have a story about like a microcosm of Louisiana politics.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh, here we go with Scott.
I'm with Uncle Scott.
So, my dad, who was very kind of politically engaged, like he was kind of politically engaged at a local level, and he didn't share our politics whatsoever, but like he was in this low-level organization that was kind of like a...
It was the Alliance for Good Government.
Oh, okay, well...
That sounds awful.
Yeah,
that sounds like the biggest scam.
He basically joined it to like be participating. He was always in it at a local level, and he found out like basically this is an organization where they vote on certain movements and who they're going to support, and they're a sticker you put on your campaign ballot.
Right.
And he somehow like got the votes to become the leader of this organization, but there was like a caucus of people who were all related, and they came like some weird confrontation in a parking lot where this guy like brushed his belly up against my dad, like trying to intimidate him. Like,
what year is this?
Some old
1950? What?
Some old like fat cat politics where I just imagine like in my brain when he explained it to me, that guy was like
this is St. Bernard Parish.
He was like sliding his thumbs down his suspenders while he did it, and like taking his wicker hat off, and like
your seersucker suit gets rumpled.
Yeah, like he just like slapped his ascot or something, and like
he didn't throw a nutria at him.
Yeah, shoot. Yeah.
Get a nutria out of his car, big giant rat.
Got the rabies,
he fired a blunderbuss in his direction.
Sick your gator on him.
Yeah,
this is a crazy place.
Yeah, it's wild. Like we didn't even have a mayor where we're from. We have a
parish president.
Government.
Yeah, most places in the state of Louisiana don't. Most people don't even have a parish council. They have police juries.
There's a police jury.
That's what it's called. It's basically like it's basically a council, but it's essentially there to.
Sounds like a junta.
Yeah, right. But it's essentially the people who are in control of everything in these sort of like more rural areas. They were in existence in St. Bernard Parish until I can't remember when. It had to be pre like Leander Perez, which we can get into an entire episode on Leander Perez.
Can I tell you a good news story about Louisiana politics? So this was last year, I think, was the election. Sorry. And still got that tickle in my throat. But last year, so there was a woman I met when I was a delegate for, I'll tell you all these stories one day. When I was a delegate for Bernie Sanders in Philadelphia.
Praise be upon him.
I know. Oh, no. On the God King. And we all met in Philly, all the Louisiana delegates. This woman, her name is Mozella Bell. And she ended up going back after the convention, the DNC, 16. And she ran for mayor of her local township. No, what is it? It's a village because there's only like 3,000. There's only it's Campti, CAMTI, New Orleans.
She's like an alderman or something.
She's a black woman, ran for mayor. She won by like 20 votes, and now she's the mayor of Campti. And I follow her still on. She does a lot of her public stuff on Facebook, and it's great. I live for it. It's stuff like they had a. Wish I had one up right now to read you, but they had a clean up Campti proposal, like to get people to get the junk, get the cars off the blocks out of your. I'm trying to find some of her stuff right now. There's a bunch of pictures.
What's
of
her name again?
Mozella Bell.
Mozella Bell. And where's it from?
Campti, CAMTI.
Where's this?
Reason why it's like North Louisiana. I want to go out there. We should all take a road trip and go.
We'll interview her maybe.
That's actually a great idea.
And have a good time with the Campti mayor.
I really
Mozella
am.
Bell.
I'm trying to find some of her Facebook posts here. Let's see. Oh, this is it. This is one of her Facebook posts that she put out to her constituency, to the citizens of Campti, about the Campti beautification week. You know, people had cars on blocks and all that. She's been telling, hey, for a while, we're going to help you get rid of all this junk to make the city look good. This is her post. I would first like to recognize all the people with abandoned vehicles. I should have only given y'all till May 1st, y'all. I should only have given you till May 1st like everyone else. However, I added an extra 10 days for you to move your vehicle. That was a miscalculation on my part because I originally gave you, like everyone else in parentheses, 4 months to move your vehicles. Don't worry, there will not be a miscalculation about the fine per vehicle. Do not let your pride get you fined. Do not come to my office after May 1st saying you didn't have it in your yard. Pictures will be taken on May 1st of your yard as proof, and you're fined, and you will be fined accordingly. Do not say, and I quote, I didn't think you was going to be mayor no more. Can I get some more time? Dude, she is a riot. So that's a Bernie Sanders delegate. She's ran the same kind of campaign as how Bernie won in Burlington, Vermont. She won by like a couple more votes than Bernie. I think Bernie, when he first won his mayoral race, was like 10 votes or something. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she's a true disciple of the God King.
Yeah, she wants to essentially give power to individuals and to people. Did you, by the way, speaking of Bernie, did you see his speech yesterday on democratic socialism?
I didn't watch it, but he was quoting FDR.
There was a lot of discourse about it, especially like on the online left or whatever. But I think that it was a specifically good, even if you're like, there are some people who will sort of like bristle at the leaning into the idea of pushing into New Dealism and all these other sorts of things, right? And like leaning into FDR, even though like FDR is obviously extremely limited. My take on it is that it was an extremely smart strategic move to lean into New Dealism, even though that's not necessarily my politics.
I agree with that. Why? I think you're going to tell me. Let me shut up.
Because labor leaders and people in organized labor, they embrace that kind of rhetoric and approach in a very real way. So if you're appealing to labor unions, and if you're trying to get and solidify and build labor unions up, that's the perfect way to do it. Even if you don't exactly have those politics in mind.
Yes, King.
Mm-hmm. So it's brilliant. I think it's fairly brilliant.
Hi, Jenny.
Oh, it's Jenny. It's our friend Jenny who's recording.
She's got a great show. It's just
listen to Islam in the Crescent City. Listen to Islam.
Not my lane to decide.
I know, right?
Look, listen to Nola Matters, Islam in the Crescent City at 5:00.
It's so good.
It is a wonderful show. I've been a guest on it about 3 times, I think. Oh. And Jenny is the best. Love Jenny.
Yeah, you can stream. If you're not listening to this online, you can stream WHIV.
Where can you stream it? WHIV 102.3 FM LP and WHIVFM.com/listen.
Does that take care of our
.org/listen? WHIV.
If you go to
WHIVFM.org/listen.
Go to DuckDuckGo and put in WHIV, and you'll find it. Yeah. Stop with the nonsense.
AOL keyword WHIV.
CompuServe. Slash hashtag the hashtag. What am I talking about? / GeoCities.
Netscape Navigator.
Angel Fire.
That's terrible. No, but I get what you're saying.
That is going to get the ear of people who are in organized labor already.
Because there's no reason the SEIU should have endorsed Hillary Clinton.
What was that, son? And one of the other things that has been really great this time around, I found, was that even labor unions that can be viewed as conservative, the American Federation of Teachers, for example, they, after going for Hillary Clinton very early in 2016 or 2015 even, they went at this time in 2016 or 2015 rather, before the election, AFT had already gone in favor of Hillary Clinton. So without polling members, without any of that stuff.
Right.
So at this time,
that's what gives to cut you off, but that's what gives labor unions a bad name.
Yeah.
Is because they go against their constituency. They go against their dues paying members so often, and
not even necessarily going against them, but not asking them. Now right. I would still make the argument that organized labor is good, and it like all the stuff all the time, like join your unions, and if you have a problem with the way that they're behaving, turn it around from the inside. So anyway, there was an initiative that was announced probably about 2 or 3 months ago by Randy Weingarten that said that this time around they will be polling members and they will be having forums for all of these candidates to participate, so that members can participate in the decision-making process. Now, I'm still, skeptical or whatever from the top, but this is an opportunity for people in local labor unions, to specifically AFT labor unions right now, but it's an opportunity to begin passing resolutions for this democratic process to take place within that local. So that needs to be pursued immediately.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're a part of a union, so you have firsthand with this. There's no union in my job, but that's a very honest to goodness. Like, we really didn't talk about this before, and that's a very that's such a succinct point that I did not. I thought he was just talking about Eugene Debs and stuff like that, like that. Honestly, because I didn't even listen to it and it's not that I'm burning out. It's just. Yeah,
there's so much news happening all the time.
It's like I get it. Like, Bernie, I'm voting for you. Bernie, I'll go to the wall for Bernie. Like, so it's how many Bernie rallies do I personally need to watch? I mean, if you know people who need to watch Bernie rallies, like, you definitely need to be showing them Bernie rallies. But that's just that's a really good point to get. And is it working? Like, labor unions are backing him?
It's been 1 day, so I know that the International Association of Firefighters came out for Joe Biden like the day he announced or something like that. That's one, but that was obviously a very top-down decision that was not made by the members.
Yeah, I've heard that. No, I've heard that. It's like the actual firefighters are mad, son.
Yeah, and even so, but that's one example. Before there's any kind of an impact that can be felt from this like democratic socialist speech that Bernie gave yesterday, there needs to be a little bit of processing that has to happen. Not everybody watched it live. Not everybody's seen it on video yet. There will be some time for people to sort of like digest this. What I sort of like about it is that it might have taken off some of the edge of sort of like the democratic socialist perspective that's like strictly directly like anti-capitalist, which I'm here for that argument,
of course.
But my point here is that in order to gain victory and to get people on your side, putting yourself into an existing American tradition that is already like extremely positively viewed in labor circles is a very good strategy.
Not that he wasn't there before. It's not like a Johnny-come-lately thing.
No. His entire perspective is to appeal to working people. What are the most powerful institutions that working people have? Labor unions. Mm-hmm. So this is a very good strategy in my opinion, and it's something that like if you're a little mad about it, that's cool. I would like to talk to you about that, and I'll talk to you about why this is happening, and basically the idea that winning over labor unions is critical in reconstituting essentially a high engagement working class movement that can push the agenda of the working class.
It's so goofy. Like, it's so goofy that the firefighters union, and we just stated, we understand why their leadership or whatever, but the most socialist organization that has a union next to me, school teachers, is going to be in the tank for Joe Biden is insane. And it's not even. This is why Bernie would beat Trump. He would beat Trump like he'd beat him like a dog because of the Midwest. And it's even if you don't have a union job and you live in the Midwest. My family from Ohio worked at Ford plants, and that's where I learned things like you don't cross a picket line. You try to buy American when you can.
The other thing also that there was a lot of people in labor unions in this vision of like this reactionary labor union rank and file member or whatever, and that might or may not exist. I think that's something that's totally overplayed. But there is this so a very long time ago, probably in most visibly in the Clinton administration, but it was definitely before, the Democrats abandoned labor in any material sense and essentially made, politically speaking, labor unions behave in a very sort of client-like fashion. And as such, and these unions want to survive, obviously. And they definitely, absolutely, 100% do represent the interests of their members in certain ways. The problem becomes when there is not high participation and there's not high engagement, then the power of these institutions is checked in a very serious way. And so they are going to continue to survive because even like unions that are less representative are not, they're better than no union, right? So essentially what they did is they did what they needed to do to survive. They scraped by, and now with Sanders, there is an opportunity to reinvigorate these unions. So one of the things that's a major factor or a major plank for Bernie that nobody ever talks about is that he's for card check. Now, what's card check?
I don't know.
Card check is, so
I really don't.
When you're forming a union at your workplace, you need to define what your, and this is all done through the National Labor Relations Board. You need to define what the working group that you would represent would be. What was your bargaining unit? And then from there, you would have to get union cards signed by each one of the members. Now, when you get half of the people of that bargaining unit to sign the union card, you trigger a vote. And so I'm skipping a step. Essentially, you present these union cards to the boss, to the boss, and they can choose to recognize the union, or they can trigger a vote. Now,
time out. Rewind that.
So you get all the cards.
The boss chooses to recognize the. Oh, so it's okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. So what you're saying is, hey, this is our union.
Yeah, we have half plus one of these people here.
Right, and so
they have all signed these union cards. Here they are. Do you recognize us as a union?
Okay.
And then the boss can either A, recognize them, which is not often the case, or B, they can say, no, we're not recognizing it. You need to get everybody in here and vote. And if you and once you all vote, then you have to organize the vote. You have to set it up, all the things. We can do all of our intimidation, our anti-voter drive to make you not do it. What card check is if you get 50% plus one, you got your union. Boom, there you go. You don't need a vote. You got it.
You said card, and I really don't know.
Card check.
Card check. So if I was to Google it, CARDCHE.
CK. Card check. Yeah. So, and Bernie Sanders is for that. He's been for that for forever. And that would be something that would make it so much easier to organize any individual workplace.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it takes the factor of boss intimidation out of the picture.
Yeah, they should. I know
in the same way because in the time to organize this vote, it takes a little while to do it, right?
Right.
And so in that process, people can flake off. Oh, I signed a union card, but like I've heard that the wages are going to be lower or whatever, and so it gives the boss another round of opportunities to intimidate the working people into changing their minds.
No, absolutely. I don't understand.
And they'll dial it up at any time.
I didn't know that. I don't understand why bosses would even be involved. Like, why would I ask you for permission? That seems absurd, actually.
U.S. labor laws is wild.
No.
But again...
That seems like something that was put into labor law just to do what you described.
To prevent people
from organizing.
Yeah. And Bernie's been for card check forever. So that means that it's an opportunity, even for if you're thinking about unions from an established union mindset. If you're, organizing this radio station or whatever, this is a community radio station, so we're all volunteers. But if this was a workplace, essentially, and we could, we were trying to organize it, you would get in contact with CBWA, and they would, they would send an organizer or whatever if they thought this was a fruitful possibility, because they have the opportunity to grow their organization, get more dues, etc. And so if we get 50% plus one, then that's when the real fight begins, because in the time that you can build up to make this vote happen, they can say, well, if y'all get your union, we're gonna, why would you spend? Delta did it recently, right? They said, well, why would you spend $600 a year in union dues when you can get a Nintendo Switch or whatever?
Just get both.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
So
what?
Anyway, I'm yammering a bit.
No, this is really good info. Like,
and I'm definitely not a labor law expert, so if I'm wrong here, somebody please email our website, contact@goodmorningcomrade.com.
Yep.
But Bernie's for card check, and that's great.
Yeah, that was very lucid.
Amazing. No, because I had no idea. It was because to me this was just another Bernie rally, and I'm glad that we got somebody who knows things to set the record straight.
I'm glad to be able to know things that I can share with y'all.
Yeah.
If you want, I can talk about Bernie's education plan, but that might be another episode.
I mean, we're at 51 minutes right now. I say we just sign out here for the show and then just keep it rolling. And just keep it rolling so that way you can and turn this into a podcast.
Yeah.
Episode.
So WHIVLP in New Orleans. See you later. Bye. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good night. Have a mimosa. Have a Bloody Mary. It's the morning.
The rest of this will be posted on the podcast. Again, available anywhere podcasts can be found. You can find this, and we're just gonna keep it going. But thanks to you for listening live. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Oof.